And welcome in to a Friday edition of the Backstage Pass. Hard to believe it's already another Friday and just less than a week out now until Thanksgiving. And happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays to everybody out there here from the Backstage Pass. My entire family, Kirsty Krause and Jeff McMahon, Nick Gonzalez, and Karen Lee Batten. Of course, our best wishes do go out to everybody there on the West Coast in British Columbia. Those tragic events they're going through up there. So Karen, I talked to her; she's doing okay, and just wish everybody the best up there for recovery. And just hopefully you got out and you got a chance to evacuate. And man, it's just been a horrific time for them up there. But our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and to everybody affected by the tragedy up there on the West Coast there in British Columbia. Brandon Morrell here flying solo. Our thanks to our good friends over at our sponsors, of course, Hank Jr. Productions, MitchMax.com. You get official Backstage Pass merchandise there at the website. And yes, we are going to do a holiday sale. And of course, our good friends at Bangtail Whiskey. I talked to Brandon Bing today. Business is picking up. Thanks for your support out there. Get that bottle of whiskey at bangtail.com or actually download the Easy Liquor app. And once you do that, that'll be the best way to go about getting the bottle there. And, of course, merchandise at bangtail.com. Pleased to kick off a Friday as a solo show, and then, of course, the weekend off. And we'll have a couple of treats next week. And then we're off for 4 or 5 days for the Thanksgiving holidays. Final show for this week, indie artist, and, of course, from Portland, Oregon, Bo Baskoro joins us here on the Backstage Pass. Bo, what's up, man?
My man, so good to be here.
Well, I appreciate you being here, brother. A lot to talk about. A lot of cool ground to cover over the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. Well, tell me about this. I mean, just getting to know you here at the top, Portland, Oregon, a place I've never been. Definitely want to go there. Been to the West Coast a few times in California and, of course, Nevada, and just got back from Arizona. Hence, Cardinal fan. That's why the hat's on.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Love watching them play. A big game against Seattle coming up on Sunday. We do sports and music here on the show. Just tell me about yourself at the top. Musically, it seems like this has been something you've wanted to do from a young age, and I always tell every artist that comes on, it probably was in the DNA at a very young age.
Man, that's actually, it's funny that you say that specifically because I actually grew up studying martial arts, and when I was younger, the whole goal for me, like the whole plan, was to study martial arts to become a martial arts instructor, and then I thought about going into the military and then maybe being a cop or something. So my younger years was really trying to focus on that. And then suddenly there was like a flip of a switch in like high school, college. And I was like, I want to learn how to sing, and I want to learn how to be in plays and musicals. And then suddenly like a creative switch went off, and I just got really into the music thing. And since then it's just been kind of the road for me. That's been the path.
Tell me about the songs. One that you guys put on the EP, I Keep My Eyes Closed. The Woman, I believe that's fall of 16, somewhere in there.
Yes.
Yeah, we do our homework on the show. We always have to.
You got me off guard there with that one, too. I'm like, oh, boy.
It got it going. It got it kind of like the big, let's go. I'm doing this. This is the first of what's coming out. And this is kind of like the kickoff to like, I'm going to be an artist, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually – so – when I decided that I wanted to start like taking music seriously, I was living in kind of like a small suburb of Portland, and everyone in the area, a lot of like the primary genres here are like kind of like folk Americana, and then you have like metal and rock. And so for me, I wasn't sure where I fit into that because I wasn't really like really pressing into either of those two. That wasn't really my vibe. And so I think when I was first starting out, it was hard for me to write music without wanting to appeal to that audience, the Americana and the folk audience and the metal audience. And so at some point I just decided I need to step away from this and I need to learn how to be my own person. So, and my own artist. So I moved down to Los Angeles for a little bit to get mentored by one of my favorite songwriters, Denny White. And he kind of like showed me the ropes, kind of taught me how to do things myself. I would sit in my bedroom in the corner. I had my laptop, set that on a music stand, and just like taught myself how to work with a digital audio workstation, taught myself how to write music. And I think The Woman was the first song. Oh, actually, The Woman or I Keep My Eyes Closed. One of those two were the first songs that I really felt like was an actual representation of the music that I really like listening to and the music I really like to write, which definitely has the influences of like a bit harder rock kind of vibes. But yeah, that was like, we kind of like went off with a bang with that. Nothing low key or sugar coated about those.
Well, I'll tell you, we dig a little bit here on the program, and then I noticed the rock sound kind of mixed with that pop sound, which is out now with the current EP Wildfire, which is out there across all the digital platforms. 17 High and Keep Up comes out, which is a single there too. Tell me about that one.
That song, so High was a very interesting process in general. That one I wrote when I was living in my mom's walk-in closet. And the reason I was living in that was because I had a hip surgery, and so I wasn't able to walk for a while. So I was living with some roommates at the time, and they found out about the surgery. They're like, "Yo, if you're not going to be able to walk for like half a year, you can't work, you can't make money, you can't pay rent, you got to go." So so I was like, "Oh, well, this is terrible because where am I going to live?" So my mom was like, "I just moved into the spot. There's a walk-in closet in my living room. Why don't you just crash in there?" Which I'll be honest, I tell people this all the time. That was the dopest like living situation I'd have in a long time, because I was able to fit my bed in there. I had some string. Actually, I had these. I don't know if you can see it behind me. I had these lights on my my window. I had like a window frame
Frame.
to imagine that I was outside. And basically the whole point with that was that I felt like, or the song was that I felt like I tried so hard to accomplish my goals, but no matter how hard I tried, it was like everyone was surpassing me, and I couldn't keep up with that, and things just kept just things like a surgery, hip surgery or a tumor. Those things just kept pushing me back or holding me back from or setting roadblocks in front of me from my goals. And so I wrote that song, and coincidentally, that song ended up getting picked up by Harvey Mason Jr., who's the president of the, I think it's the Recording Association. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but
yeah, and I think you correct me if I'm wrong, but Harvey Mason, didn't he work with Aretha Franklin?
Oh yeah, Aretha Franklin,
Okay.
Keith Urban, Justin.
Keith Urban.
I mean, he's got a huge
list.
list. Yeah,
heard the name. Yeah.
So I just happened to basically Maxwell House Coffee heard about my story from like paths being crossed, and they're like, "This guy's life's pretty miserable. Let's put him on TV." So they made me kind of the face of their rebranding campaign for a moment, and loved the song. Sent it to Harvey. He heard it. He brought me down to Universal City, where we recorded that song, and it was really, I think that's what really popped off the momentum for me. And so that song's just like, it's really funny because that's the one song I didn't produce out of everything, and me and my buddy are typically the ones that produce all my music. So that was the one song that didn't, and that got all the hype. And so we were like, this is awesome. But at the same time, we're like, I mean, we had some, I wrote it. So technically, yeah. It's like, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it still. But part of us are like, man, it would have been fun to produce this one too.
Yeah.
But like, such an honor to be able to record with Harvey. Oh my God. That was like looking back, that hip surgery, that whole situation, I always say that was the best inconvenience of my life, because that brought me to where I am now. And so thanks, hip.
Thanks, hip, and time and place for everything. And so I look at it with what I do on this show, and then of course things outside of here, even personal life. There's that time and place, and it's either you're there and you got to be aggressive, go after what you want. Don't be overly aggressive, but at the same time, it's a dog eat dog type world. And the industry you guys in, I want to ask you about that too, because it's not all the glamour that people see up front and just easy stepping in a studio and recording songs. There's things that go on behind the scenes. Kind of shed the light on the challenges in this industry, and it's tough to stay on top. It is. It's
really tough, especially in the last couple of years too. Obviously, like a lot of for me, a lot of my momentum was just picking up when we got locked in. And so, so I felt like, I don't know, you just kind of lose that momentum, and you lose that drive. And something that I've noticed is that there's times where you can work as hard as you want, and you can have the right moves, but if you don't have the right relationships with certain people, or if you don't know everything, if you don't have that support, it's hard to keep going, because it almost feels like you're punching the air. Or I typically compare it to being a fly that sees outside a window. You're on the inside of a window and you're trying to get out, but you don't see that there's an open door over here. So you just keep like running into that, seeing the goal, but no one's helping guide you. And so I feel like for me, it has been kind of, I think the biggest challenge is not having enough education, or not being educated enough in the industry to know what the right moves are, or what the best steps are in order to pursue the career. And so for me, it's been a lot of trial and error, which I think has brought a lot of wisdom and a lot of really hands-on education. But it can get really tiring. You know, you're being really vulnerable with your audience, and you don't know if it's going to be received well. So I think the most important thing is just like having, being confident in yourself, and being confident that what you're doing is the right move.
No doubt, and good advice for artists coming into the business. No, it's just tough road ahead. They call Nashville a 10-year town. I've heard that phrase used many times there too, which is there. And I'm sure out in your world on the West Coast there, they probably have a catchy music phrase for that too as well for artists. But we'll come back. We'll take a quick break. A lot to get to here with Bo Baskoro. Check him out at bobaskoro.com, BASKORO.com. Mercy, The Color Blue, and of course the latest EP, Wildfire. We're going to talk about that. Timeout for Bangtail Whiskey, and of course a little timeout to promote the show. If you're interested in a sponsorship, email me. Of course, the email is in the ad there too. At the same time, we're geared up. CRS 2022 coming at you February 23rd to 25th. It's going to be exciting, and definitely already getting a lot of excitement plowed through there. Cannot wait to be in Nashville February 23rd to 25th, 2022. We'll take a timeout. It's Bo Baskoro. It's the Backstage Pass presented by MitchMax.com, Hank Jr. Productions, and Bangtail Whiskey. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And we're doing that, of course, next week on Wednesday. Myself and CJ Garton, Nashville recording artist, we're going to start a little podcast called Outlaw Fantasy. We talk sports, we talk music, and if you're into fantasy football, you might want to tune into this, who to start, who to sit, and like I said, some guys that may be off waivers can help you put up some points in your respective leagues that you're in. Back here with Bo Baskoro on the Backstage Pass, thanks to Hank Jr. Productions, of course, Bangtail Whiskey, and our good friends over at MitchMax.com, our official merchandise maker of the Backstage Pass. Let me ask you about these two. Mercy in 2018 comes out, and of course, follow that with The Color Blue. Tell me about this as songs just continue to pile up, and you're getting great content out there to your fans.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think with Mercy, that was one where I was going the more of the alt rock direction, a little bit harder music, and basically that song was kind of wrapped around the idea that we are not, none of us are perfect, and people will throw out a lot of shade and criticism towards other people, but not consider the fact that they're just as imperfect as they are. So, being in a small town too, you kind of see that firsthand, pretty involved. You get pretty involved in those kind of things, or sucked into that, and you're like, this is gross. So, so that song kind of stemmed from that. The Color Blue was a really interesting one because I wrote that in a really dark place in my life where, I felt really broken and everything, and I just felt like, man, I felt like I'd been done wrong, and really wrong, and I wanted to write about it. But then thinking about it, I was just putting so much. I produced the music for it, and sitting back on that, I'm like, man, singing these lyrics does not line up with how happy the music sounds. So I was in the studio with my buddy, my co-producer Justin Abel, and we paused for a moment and we're like, I can't get behind these lyrics because I feel like this is a lot to sing about, this is a lot of energy to put into someone that really did you wrong. And I don't know if it's worth that energy. You know, being vulnerable is really important and everything, but we just didn't feel like it was worth that energy. And so, and it didn't really line up with the music. So I went home and kind of sat at the piano and thought, what do I want to sing about then? I still want to sing about this situation, but instead I came to the conclusion that I wanted to write about how I wanted to feel after something like this happened to me. And I wanted to feel good about something. I wanted to feel good about myself, and I wanted to have that endorphin of you know, having, or I thought about the feeling of, you know, when you have your first crush and you get your mom's car or something and you're off on a drive with her or them, and you know, you both are into each other, and that's something that I want to feel after a situation like that. And so I kind of came it from that angle, and it was a little bit less alternative rock, but it just fit really well. And the song ended up being a lot happy sounding and a lot more positive energy to the lyrics. And it became kind of the most popular song I'd come out with at that point. And it ended up being a hit for people. And a lot of people felt like they could relate. And it wasn't the direction I thought I would be going, but and I remember even releasing it and making an announcement like, this isn't my normal direction, but this felt right. And everyone's like, well, this is the direction you got to go because everyone loves this. So it was a really good response and kind of I think a turning point for the direction I was going with music.
When you look at songwriting and just how important it is, you know, I have songwriters here all the time, you know, just people that write hit songs, and if they're hit songs for country music, and of course, people like you said that work with Aretha Franklin give you a shot to go down to California, step in a recording studio, and the rest is kind of the rest. You know, I guess a lot of people tell me, you know, we wear our feelings kind of on our sleeves, our emotions, and they kind of come off. But it's therapy. Songwriting is therapy.
Yeah.
It's a craft. What's your favorite part of the process?
I think just being able to create something, being able to create, it's kind of hard to, for me, it's really hard to like put into words, I think, because it's just it's an actual physical feeling. But I think being able to create an atmosphere that moves your body and moves your your perspective or your emotions, being able to create that and have that soundscape, I think is the most fulfilling thing for me, because you're connecting with, that music connects with you. And I think that there's going to be someone else that can connect with that. And so what you've done is create a connection with someone else that then feels seen or heard or has experienced the same thing. And you're creating a safe environment where you're both saying, I see you, I hear you, I felt the same way, and you're safe here. And I think that's the most rewarding thing for me, being able to make something that helps people feel understood or seen, or moves them to be inspired or understandable.
I love what you did with Wildfire. Let's talk about that. The latest EP out there again, Baskoro here on the Backstage Pass. You let off with Every Memory, and then you got down to Close Enough, which is one of my favorites on there. The Color Blue, which is the Wildfire edition. Tell me about this making of it, the choice of songs, of course, the recording process. Break it all down for me. And this is another great project you guys have put out.
Thanks, man. Yeah, this is the first. I think this is the first project that I put together that I really felt like 100% really proud of. And I think how it started was I had written Wildfire first, and I didn't feel like it. I personally didn't feel like it was a song that was fit to be just a single. So it was going to be the next single, but then I thought, man, it would be kind of nice to give some more context to this, what I'm trying to say in this song. And all of those songs previous to Wildfire, they were all pretty sonically congruent. And so we just decided, why don't we just, I'm not huge on making EPs just because I feel like in this time period for music, just releasing singles is it's really beneficial for, I think, even your mental health, but like just your traction and your momentum. And once you have a big enough following, then you can give them the whole meal. But I just felt like I'd be doing myself a crime by not releasing an EP with this single. And so we put these songs together specifically because they were they felt so connected thematically and sonically. And so we had Wildfire. Then I thought, man, I have this song Love You Now that would be pretty cool with this. And then there was Close Enough, and I'm like, oh, these are fitting together pretty well. And then I kind of felt like, man, there's something missing here. And it ended up being The Color Blue. The thing was, The Color Blue, the previous production of it was the previous production from another time period. And it wasn't necessarily how I wanted it to sound sonically anyways, especially for this EP. But I was like, this kind of feels like a great kickoff for the EP. But what if we changed it to make it more congruent? We did that, and that changed the game for me. I thought that the Color Blue Wildfire edition was like literally perfect for me and exactly how I imagined it sounding however many years ago I wrote it. And so I was like, yes, we nailed it. But then I still felt like it needed the cherry on top, or the bow, or the epilogue, if you will. And so prior to, like, we had the EP ready, but I was like, I hit my buddy Justin, and I'm like, I kind of feel like we need to like kick it off with something short, not like a full on song, but something that's just kind of like an introduction to what this EP is even about. And so that's where Every Memory came along with it. And it's kind of just like that prelude or that epilogue to the theme of the EP. And I would say the theme of the EP is kind of the idea about how so many times, it was kind of my revelation EP of where I realized I've been singing a lot about how people have hurt me, but reality is I also have a big factor in why there is the separation of, friendships, relationships. It's what part do I play in this? And so the EP was kind of me taking responsibility for my role in whatever conflict or whatever heartache there's been in my life.
It's got a good theme to it. I like it. I like what you guys did with it. I put it on a playlist, and I love the fact that you can just kind of, go to it, and it's out there across all the digital platforms. I wanted to go back and take a step back to, I believe, 2019 when you guys put out one I liked, Oasis. And I want to get kind of a personal meaning of this one. And I know you smile, so it must be right there close to you. Tell me about Oasis. Tell me about that.
I feel, I'm so happy you said that, because I feel like a lot of people would be sleeping on Oasis, but that might be one of my favorite songs I've written. I think that was the real shift for me with how I was writing music. And that was when I went into more electronic, synthy vibes, and I wrote that one. This was actually a weird story. So you remember the I think it was 2018, might have been 17, when the solar eclipse happened?
Yep. Remember that one?
Yeah.
We're talking about. Yep.
So there was where I live, I'm 3 hours west of where Totality was in Central Oregon. I happened to have been playing a gig the night before, and I was like, I got to get out of here first thing in the morning, or else traffic's going to suck, because like half of the population of the world came to Central Oregon to see Totality. So I tried leaving early, didn't leave early enough, and got stuck in literally I was on the freeway for 10 hours. And typically driving from Central Oregon to just the mountain, which is like the in between, that took me 10 hours to get to that mountain. It normally takes me 2 hours to get there. So I was like, this is miserable. So I haven't had my laptop with me. I ended up pulling it out, plugging the aux cable from my car to my computer, and produce Oasis in my car.
That's cool.
While sitting in traffic, seeing like this couple in front of me doing aggro yoga on top of their van. And there's just like people are just outside of their car. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write a song in this summer heat. And so like I really messed with that. I loved the vibe of that. And
Mm-hmm.
that song was, I think, just to make a long story short, I think that song was really just about finding someone um in your life that really kind of like changes your perspective in
I love that.
what is typically jaded.
Great song choice, and the way it came together. I just love how songs
Yeah,
sometimes.
man. I happen to be in the middle of a desert, so I'm like, yo, all right, this is fitting.
I got some time. Let me just write a
Yeah, I
song
got
out of
time
this
to
and
kill.
time to kill and just see
Yeah.
it come to life out there again.
Yeah.
Baskoro.com and of course Wildfire, the latest EP out there across all the digital platforms. I got to ask you about this. Great to see, because I'm getting ready to go to one this weekend and next weekend. The live shows, thank God, they are so back and things are being booked. I mean, in Nashville and just around the country, and artists are back doing what they love to do on stage. I guess kind of a two-parter. One, when you step on stage, what's that feeling like? And I guess entertaining in front of an audience. I've never felt that, so I will never know because I can't say it. I'm not afraid to admit it, but I can't host a podcast. And I guess the second feeling we get is meeting people after a show and knowing that you made a difference in their lives, either, I guess, hopefully positively, but maybe other ways that they don't want to talk about, or maybe it was a sad song. They were going through something and they said, hey, you sang this song at the live venue. This helped me get through tough times in my life, because a lot of artists do meet and greets after a show or come over and sign hats from their merch stand and stuff like that, or shirts or whatever. So kind of a two-parter there, meeting people after a show. But the first part, getting the feeling from knowing you're stepping on that stage and performing in front of an audience. What's that like?
Dude, that has changed so much over the years, because, I think it's funny that you asked this, because I literally just played my first show in 2 years last night. And that's why my eyes are bloodshot, because I didn't get home until really late and I had to be up really early. So I promise there was no other reason besides that. But I think that when I was younger performing, I felt like it had to be perfect, and you had to have the perfect performance. Otherwise, it was all for nothing and awkward, and it's just super weird.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that the more control I wanted of the show, the less fun I was having and the more stress I was. And then finally I got to a point where I was like, why am I wrote these songs so I can enjoy them. Mm-hmm. So why don't I enjoy them? And so it got to the point where once I get to that liminal space of stepping on the stage, I'm like, all right, well, I'm here. So the options are, I can either rock the show, have a great time, or I could sit here, close my eyes, and be really awkward. Mm-hmm. But there's no turning back now, because people paid to see you. Yeah. And once I did that and just enjoyed my time, it just changed the environment so much. And granted, there's always something that goes wrong. There's always some kind of tech problem, or someone plays the wrong note or something, but you just kind of roll with it. Mm-hmm. And I think you're kind of the person that sets the standard in that venue of how you're receiving the music. And so if you're having a good time, people are going to have a good time. If you're there closed off and uncomfortable, people are going to feel that, and they're not going to respond well. In my opinion, that's just from my perspective. Yeah. But man, I'll tell you what, last night it was wild. First show in 2 years. So it's perfect you asked this, because I really got to think about it. I was so nervous because we use in-ear monitors. And so I'm like, man, we're using a sound guy we've never used before, front of house. And we didn't have a lot of time to rehearse. And there's always things that you're just nervous is going to happen. We had some technical difficulties, and we're like, okay, here's the thing. We know something's going to happen, because it just does. When you know that, you can accept it and you can just roll with it and have a good time. We had so much fun. I was still like obviously a little nervous, not being able to perform for so long, but we had so much fun. And the people there were so encouraging, loved it. People were dancing and jumping and singing along and everything. And it was a great time. It was a great experience. And I think that comes with just being able to accept that you don't have control, but you wrote this music to have a good time. And so you might as well have a good time.
put a message out there for people and either accept it or reject it, or at least do a little bit of both. And then, like I said, have a good time, have a cold beer, and just enjoy it.
Oh yes, absolutely. And yeah, I resonate with that.
And speaking of drinks, we're gonna have one right here on the Backstage Pass cold beer. We're gonna have a glass of whiskey here. It's Bangtail Whiskey.
Yes,
I tell you what, love that stuff out of Florida. I talked to Brandon today. A lot of good things planned between the partnership between us and Bangtail Whiskey out of Florida here in 2022. A lot of good things coming up, including our countdown to CRS Country Radio Seminar for February 23rd to 25th. We'll be there live in Nashville, broadcasting live from the Omni Hotel. So be sure and join us and tell everybody about it too. We're looking forward to that too. It's Baskoro.com. That latest EP is Wildfire. We'll come back. We'll get into a little rapid fire with Bo, get to know him more on a personal basis with a little series of funny questions that are good out there too as well. Right now, word from Bangtail Whiskey. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-hosts Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here on the show again, Bo Baskoro joining us here. Final show before the Thanksgiving holidays. Actually, we do have one coming up on Monday. Taylor Ray is going to join us, another fantastic artist from Nashville, Tennessee. Maybe a couple of surprises over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. And still trying to get down some Christmas stuff. It looks like one of the best ones we're going to have. Steve Warner is going to join us here on the broadcast. Of course, everybody knows him from a lot of great hits, 90s for country music there. So Steve Warner and just a whole lot more. Stay tuned to the Facebook page and, of course, the YouTube channel Backstage Pass. Again, thanks to our good friends at Hank Jr. Productions and, of course, Bangtail Whiskey and our good friends over at MitchMax.com. We're going to be doing a holiday sale on some of the Backstage Pass merchandise, so stay tuned for those updates there for that 3-day blitz that we put on out there and get some Backstage Pass merchandise. We appreciate all the support. All right, time for my favorite part of the program, Bo. We do a little rapid fire, so we put some things out there and no right or wrong answers, but we do have a good time with this. It's always a fun
I
thing.
am so nervous. I'm so bad with rapid fire. I always second guess and doubt myself every time.
All right. First one out of the gate. Favorite food, favorite drink.
Oh my gosh. Oh, whiskey. And
okay, there you go.
For food, I'm a big whiskey fan. I would say favorite food. This is so weird. Nasi goreng, which is I'm Indonesian. Nasi goreng is an Indonesian fried rice, and basically it's like just a specifically made or a way they specifically make it with like chicken, pork, or beef, and
I love it.
Just slaps.
Give me some. I'm already going to sign up for it. I love fried rice, and so I love Indian food. Wife loves Indian food. We got Indonesian food. I still say. Fried rice, I'm there. I'm
Give me
a big
some.
fan.
Absolutely.
I love that too. Love it. All right, it's a good choice of a drink too for whiskey out there.
Some whiskey and fried rice. Great palate.
It's a good combination. Great palate there. What you sipping on there? What's that?
So this is Rehydrate and Spark. I don't know if you're familiar with Advocare, but
yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah. So it's a good healthy alternative to different forms of caffeine and energy, and some Rehydrate in that to keep my electrolytes up when you've been up really late or have to be up really early and you're crashing. This gives you a good focus energy. And so I was like, I want to give you my best and my all right now. So I'm going to throw this in my body.
I love that too. Like I said, I'm sure you guys have the shows that are going to be consistent now over tonight to Friday, Saturday, and into next week. So it's good. Y'all are getting booked up again too for these shows coming up, right?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's really exciting. It's just, when it's like going from nothing to just like barren to the floodgates opening up. You're like, okay. So trying to navigate through it right now.
That's a good thing. I like that too. All right. Bucket list vacation. If you could pick anywhere on the map when all this is, I guess, officially over, where would you like to go?
I would love to. Now I'm like, I should be waving my Indonesia banner. My family lives in Indonesia. I'd love to go back there and visit. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been. Bali, Indonesia. That's one. Spain, Barcelona, Spain.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite places in the world. I've never been to Italy, and I've been dying to go. Greece, and wow, I was ready for this, and I'd love to visit Japan. Freaking those are the 5.
Europe just didn't me take the family when the kid gets a little older, but the wife and over there just to see Europe and some family in Germany and all that, just that whole the train ride and do it.
Oh yeah,
do it big, be gone for like 2 weeks and just enjoy that too as well.
That.
So,
I love that so much. It's crazy because like it's closer than the States are.
Mm-hmm.
Every country is, and so it's like we think of it as like well, I mean, obviously it's a huge continent, but like France to Germany is just like basically a hop, skip, and a jump away. But
yeah.
Like, I mean, it takes longer for me to get to Texas than it does to get to Germany from France. That's crazy.
Yeah, I could get on an intercontinental airport here in Houston. I'm going to fly to. We just flew back from Arizona and flew back just in a couple of days. It was like go there, 3 days back, and the flight was like a couple hours. And then you start looking at just how the convenience of the airline is today, man. Without it, it'd be.
Oh yeah, I'd never see.
And I love to fly.
Yeah, me too. I have so many friends that are afraid of it. I'm like, oh man, if this is how I go, I mean, not to get too dark, but like,
hey man,
having a blast.
It's what it is.
A really
it's like,
dark direction.
It's okay. I'm okay with the dark direction because if it's meant to, if it's going to happen. But you know what? It's like you're getting to your destination, and I'm like you. I don't want to spend 10 hours on a freeway. I've done that before, and. Man. 75, 80 miles an hour. Crazy drivers don't put on a signal, blink, and
my gosh, the signal thing right now. I don't know what it is. We forgot. We've been inside. We haven't been driving so long. We forget how the car.
That's the truth.
Mechanism work, man.
I can't
do. Yeah, road trips now. Maybe it's just my age, but my body can't handle that anymore. I'd rather just like give me 4 hours. I'll stretch out a little bit. It's fine.
Because I mean, for us, it was like a little over 2 hours, and they're landing in Phoenix, Arizona, to go out there just for the trip we had in October. And then I noticed I flew out to LA 2019 before all the stuff started. It was like 2.5 hours. I'm in LA. Portland's just another hour,
crazy.
Probably another couple hours just to flight north. So 3.5 hours, you're in Portland. I mean, it's most convenient way to get around and travel.
Yeah, totally. And then like driving from Portland to LA is like 16, 18 hours. I'm like, nah, 2 hours for me.
2 hours. Let's just fly.
I'll pay it.
Especially when you get those frequent flyer miles and they add up on your card. Let's just get out there too. All right. Contestant on any game show or game shows. What game show would you go on?
American Ninja Warrior.
That's a cool one. I have
100%. I would love to do that. I watched that. I used to work at a country club, and they always had that on. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I know I can't, but I want to try. I got to.
Well, that answered the next one too. Coming up, the binge watching. Is there anything else beside that one that you like to binge watch?
Okay, so here's where my geekiness comes out. I am a huge. You probably can't tell, but this is a Doctor Who reference behind me. I'm a huge Whovian, and I'm a huge anime nerd. So anything in those realms, I will spend all day on.
Like that, which is there's a lot of good stuff coming out of those like you said, those are great binge watching series. And I put on things. I know lately, waiting on the Ozarks to come back, and
I have friends that are huge in that.
Yeah, I love that. And then we had something out there. What was it? The Outer Banks was really good on Netflix. It was really good stuff out there.
Really? I was curious about that one too. So I'm going to have to check that one out. Netflix is hard because it's just such a cost. You never know what's going to happen. They're like, this is the top in the world. You're like, but is it for me? I don't know.
Yeah. And then of course,
was one that I binged.
Yeah, the Queen's Gambit was really good too. I love to just watch that. So many good stuff out there. And we got so used to it, like you said, being indoors after the last 18 months or 19 months or so too as well. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I am definitely a new Baskoro fan. The EP is Wildfire. It's out there across all the digital platforms. Check him out at Baskoro.com. Bo, sure appreciate the time and the visit, and looking forward to catching up again the road, just down the road, my friend, at some point. If we're on the West Coast, I got to give you a holler. Hope you had fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for making time for me. This has been a blast, man.
Hey, brother, we aim to please here, no doubt. And of course, the countdown to CRS is on. We're looking forward to being there February 23rd to 25th, 2022 there in Nashville, Tennessee, broadcasted live, the Backstage Pass, the Omni Hotel. Seems like a good fit there. I like that too, as well. Can get used to that broadcasting. And of course, the sponsors with us, Hank Jr. Productions, Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, MitchMax.com. Baskoro.com. Check it out for some great merchandise out there. Check Bo's website out at Baskoro.com. We're back Monday. Taylor Ray on the show, another fantastic artist, and then taking a few days off for the Thanksgiving holidays. And, of course, happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to everybody out there. Then some great shows coming up there last week of November and into December. So be sure and keep it locked. The Backstage Pass Facebook page and the YouTube channel, and go get Wildfire across all the digital platforms. You guys have a great holiday. We'll talk to you Monday on the Backstage Pass. And, of course, Outlaw Fantasy with myself and CJ Garton comes out next week. Fantasy football and music. Yeah, that's a hard job to have. Talking that for 45 minutes. Looking forward to it. We'll see you guys Monday on the Backstage Pass.